Hi, I've noticed a couple of comments on Shazoolo's webpage on JW asks Jesus God or Son of God, and someone has actually commented on there. Why is it important that we actually discuss these issues? What is it? What is the real importance of it? Well, it's quite simple, because in knowing what you mean by these terms, you can then say and identify as to whether you are actually following the Jesus of the Bible, the Jesus which we as Christians will say is the Jesus of the Bible. Why is it important? Because there are so many Jesuses in the world. Walter Martin on a debate with an astrologer, she said, "Oh, I love Jesus. I serve Jesus all the time. Everything I do is for Jesus." And he said, "Which one? Which Jesus do you serve?" And she looks at him and says, "Well, how many? The Jesus of the Bible? I mean, how many are there?" And of course, he went through. You got the Jesus of Jehovah's Witnesses, who is just a created being. He used to be an angel, was made into a man, and then when he died, he became an angel again. You got the Jesus of the Mormons, who is actually a spirit son of God. He is a son of God. He was born to God the Father and one of his goddess wives, or a goddess wife, and then he became a man, and then went back to being back to being an exalted being again. And then you've got the Jesus of Islam, where he's just a normal man, but he was a prophet. Or you've got the Jesus of Judaism, who is a heretic, and not neither a prophet or God. Then you've got the Jesus of the Eastern religions, such as Buddhism, who was of the Christ spirit, who was an enlightened person, very close to, and who reached a level of spiritual enlightenment, and was a good man, had good karma. And then you've got the Jesus of the New Age, who once again is of the Christ spirit, who it just reincarnates and exposes itself through the lives of human beings, such as Buddha was the Christ spirit, Muhammad had the Christ spirit, Jesus himself was only called the Christ because he had the Christ spirit, and there'll be other religious leaders and spiritual leaders have come since. Guided from the Baha'i faith, for example, has the Christ spirit on them. So other people can have and have had the Christ spirit. So it's the identity of who it is, and who do you think of? I mean, the Bible does say that there are many different Jesuses and different spirits and different gospels going around at the time of the New Testament, and they are here today. So it's the identity of who you worship, and of course the identity of God. Let's face it, the Bible identifies who God is, and God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And if you have a different spirit, I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses have a different Holy Spirit. He's just an active force that is just like energy, like electricity, and he's not a person at all. And yet Jesus always refers to him in personal terms, and the Bible speaks about him as a person who has spoken in the Old Testament and speaks in the New, and acts in the New, and empowers believers in the New Testament. And even unto today, he's still carrying on doing the work, convincing the world of sin and of the gospel. So it all comes down to the importance of the identity of knowing who God is. And many people will say, "Oh, we believe in God," and yet when you press the issue, they could be speaking of anything. Like, for example, the Mormons, just one of many gods. and you talk to a Hindu about God, and their initial response will be, their thinking is that of they are one of many gods. They have gods with animal heads and all that sort of thing, as well. So the term God is very different. So definition of terms and identity of whom the members of the Godhead are, as Christians go, and what the Bible teaches, is vitally important. Because if you're worshipping the wrong God and then claiming the promises of the Bible as being your guide, then you're not going to get very far at all. You will be one of those who stand before him and say, Lord, Lord, did we not do this? Did we not do that? And he's going to say, no, I never knew you, because it wasn't my power who was equipping you to do this. It was another God's power. Just speaking to having some debates on atheism, and these atheists saying, well, how can you define atheism, and saying that we don't believe in anything. Well, really, it's quite true. Like Kevin Logan says, the absence of an absolute belief in God doesn't mean that you believe in nothing. It says you'll believe anything but the truth. And an atheist does do that. An atheist picks and chooses what he likes, because he has no higher authority than himself to go by. And an atheist can pick up morals from many religions and stuff, and yet still not subscribe to a single religion, or even acknowledge that the God involved, or the spirit involved in that religion, is divine or absolute, or even exists. So the identity of who it is important. So if Jesus in the Bible, as he does, claims to be God, claims to be equal to the Father, it's important that we understand that. It's important that that's established. If his disciples called him God, okay, and he accepts that adoration, then it's important that we respond likewise, and that if we have difficulties in understanding something, we ask him for help, to help our unbelief, rather than just saying, oh, I don't understand it, so I'm not going to believe it, and writing it off. So that's why identity, the whole issue of identifying whether Jesus is God or just the Son, or whether he's just a prophet, or whether he's just a man who had some spiritual enlightenment, or whether he was a con man or a charlatan. That's why it's so important. So the saying is a true saying: Jesus, mad, bad, or the unique Son of God. That's why that saying is very true. Okay, if he's not who he claimed to be, then he has to be either a deluded madman or someone very evil who wishes to deceive other people. He can't fall into any other category whatsoever.